Ya'ate, mabuhay, aloha, happy Tuesday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this beautiful Tuesday chat. Real Medicine, Medicine Tribe Television. We live, baby. We live. Woo! It's a rainy/sunny Tuesday here in beautiful Cascadia. And today I am welcoming one of my best friends on to today's check-in with our friends from around the world. And I see she's already laughing at me. And so let's just get this conversation going. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Welcome. Come on in, take a seat, make yourself comfortable, and enjoy today's conversation. All right, let's see, where's she at? Come on now. Let's get this thing set up. Wait, why though? Oh, here we go. There it is. All right. Sending the request in.
I've never, ever done a group live chat.
Have you not?
Never. This is exciting.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Well, good afternoon to you, darling.
Hello. How are you?
I am very good.
Good.
It's been interesting. You know how the weather affects, sort of your emotional state and such?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's been doing this thing today where it's like hails for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then it goes, boom, sunshine. And then it goes, shoo, rain, rain. And then boom, sun. And so as I was about to call you,
or my emotional center right now.
Yes, Scorpio, yes. So yes, well, hello. Nice to see your face. How are you doing over there?
I'm okay. I'm all right. Today's been hard. I tried to put mascara on, you guys, which I haven't put on in 2 months, it feels like, so it's a little clumpy, but I've had a hard day. I've cried all morning.
Oh, dear.
I've sobbed, like guttural kind of cry, to the point where my dog was like, bro, you okay? I think you okay? But other than that, I'm good. This quarantine has been such a fascinating experience for me, as I know it has for all of us, and I can't wait to talk about all the things. How are you?
Well, I haven't cried yet today.
Well, maybe we can make that happen this time. Maybe when you just see the tears dripping down my face, you'll be...
Yeah, I'll try and drop in. But, share the warrior tears, as Uncle Doug would say, right? I feel good, though. I'm, in the same space, I guess. I feel very activated. I feel very in a routine, finally, I guess. That feels good. Just eating healthy in the morning and exercising and doing yoga. But yeah, I think as a person who feels the world so deeply through the frequencies and ethers, it's like every day is another question of like, what is actually going on? Kara. So yeah, I don't know. You in your world, you work in such an extroverted space. Like, how is it for you being introverted and being isolated in this way?
I'm such an introvert. I can do the whole like hang out, shake people's hands. Not right now. Actually, fun fact, I hug people all the time, and people think that I'm just a friendly person, but really I think hands are disgusting. They're clammy. You never know what kind of hand you're going to get. It's going to be a wet one. It's going to be a dry one. I don't trust the hands. They're not really my thing. I'm much more of a foot person. But anyway, I can do the whole like hang out, be in the crowds, go to parties, etc. But it's really not my jam. Anyone who knows me really well, which you do, knows that I'm usually the first to leave. I'm really good at the like Irish exit. See you later.
Yeah.
And there's nothing kind of more important to me than alone time, and being, whether it's because I'm a Scorpio or all water or whatever it is, I recharge when I'm alone, and I recharge in nature specifically. And if I don't have access to nature, then I have to stay really diligent in my discipline and my practice of bringing whatever it is, whatever frequency or vibration that I feel like I ground in nature, bring that to wherever I am, whether it's a beautiful fancy hotel room somewhere or a tent in the middle of the woods, or in my home or in a friend's home. That is the work, because going out and being around people, that's, I feel like, just part of life. But the real work is the self-discipline to stay authentic to yourself despite whatever your external circumstances look like.
Which I've always appreciated about you. I mean, I remember when we first met, and I would observe you with your fans, or with people who would want to, you know, speak to you or take a photo with you. You'd always say, like, you'd always give hugs instead. And
those were authentic hugs.
yeah, real.
Those weren't the, like, I don't want to touch your hand hugs.
Right. But I always just thought that was, like, so real. And also the one of the things that I always was in agreement with you is like going to an event or going to things, like you know, always knowing, like, I'd much rather go sit on the beach, or like go to the forest, or sit by the river, or whatever it is in that alternate scene. And I've always enjoyed that about you, that you've just stuck to that as being where that ground is, because that's also for me as well, where I stay connected.
I mean, look, I think that it's really, I say this all the time, but it's really sexy to talk about what change needs to happen. And it's really, you know, vibey, or whatever you want to call it, jazzy, to use our mouths and even use our bodies as a means to say what we feel, or encourage the world to go in a certain direction. But the really difficult work and the uncomfortable work that actually creates all the change is usually that sitting at home by yourself, or it's the taking the time to truly meditate, to truly pray, to truly go within whatever, you know, practice or discipline that abides to you. That is where I feel like we do download kind of the true wisdom to know which direction to take, because there's so much chaos and there's so much noise in the world. And even within our own lives, I mean, the reason why I was crying today is because I love so much. And I just had a very kind of heartbreaking morning, and it was really difficult. But within that difficulty, this person and I were able to find a means for our own healing together, and sat with and prayed virtually via the phone, because we couldn't be in the same space together for hours. And I think that finding ways to navigate the chaos, what am I trying to say, with that certain specific calm nature and open heart is really where we're going to find the most healing. And what I think is so interesting right now about quarantine is that, you know, we all obviously are going through such different experiences, and some of us are having amazing experiences because it is allowing us to slow down for the first time in years. And then others are dying. You know, it's a really polarizing time, and there's every single part of any extreme is in existence right now. So I think it will be fascinating to see what happens post quarantine, what people are doing with this time, people who have the time to really go into themselves, people who are in hospitals, nurses, doctors. Everyone is getting such specific lessons right now, whatever those might be, or I don't even know. Lessons can sound harsh because it is such a life-threatening thing for so many people. But what would you say? It's fascinating to me to see how the world is going to pick itself back up, and the lessons that have been learned in this time, if we are going to sit in the discomfort of needing to now apply those lessons to a system that is broken and how these lessons are going to actually enable us to fix it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I waver daily to celebrate my own abundance in ways, or my own groundedness, because when I feel into people so close to me, is even like my siblings, or like my mother's, or like you know, friends who work in the food and beverage industry, or people, even like my mail lady, you know, who comes by and still is working her butt off, you know. You know, people who are literally can't stay home, we don't have that, even that privilege to stay home, you know, like, where I want to celebrate in some ways, where I'm like, oh, you know, I'm so glad I have this this job that I can go back to eventually, you know. But then at the same time, like the guilt sort of kind of seeps in a little bit, and I'm like, oh yeah, but God, there's so many people who can't even do that. And I think, and then it turns to like a little bit of, I'm a little angry, because I'm like, what the hell? Like, we live in the richest country in the world, and we don't even have a system that's set up to protect the most vulnerable people. It's such a it's just set up for failure in this way. And I'm going like, how is that even possible? You know, and so, you know, obviously as young people, we're really witnessing this for the first time in a big way.
To say that we're young people anymore?
Yeah, we're very young. Come on.
Are we really allowed to keep
Come
saying
on.
that?
Yeah. Wait, what age are we not young anymore? Like in our 40s? Like, it's
Okay, so here's the deal.
Yeah, tell me the deal.
We can talk about quarantine all day long, but I have to be honest. Every time I fucking turn, sorry if there's people, whatever, fuck it. Oh, it's Kelly. She just said, "What's up?" Anytime I've turned on Instagram over the last couple of weeks, I tune into lives, and some of them are fun and inspiring because people are like Miley Cyrus is painting her nails earlier today.
Right.
I thought that was really dope. I was like, yes, you're learning a new skill, and now I am too. And then this amazing, I don't know if you know the musician and singer-songwriter Aurora, but she like took us on a tour of her room a week ago or something, and showed us all the things she loves the most about it, and brought so much joy. And so there's certain Instagram lives that I feel really inspired by and really like fuck yeah about. And then there's other ones where I feel like I turn it on and people are just like contemplating all the doom and gloom and the freedom, fire, fear. That was the word I was going for. So I feel like we should make ours kind of fun.
I'm into this idea.
I mean, you know, like we don't have to do handstands and hide and seek and stuff, but like we should make it fun in a way where, I don't know, I think it's important right now to kind of bring up the vibe, not discounting the fact that I'm still going to bawl my eyes out throughout the day, and you're going through what you're going through, and shit's hard. But
you want to sing a song?
What song are we going to sing?
I don't know. I know a couple songs. I know you know this song because we've known each other for a long time, and you've been
together for how many years now? I was trying to think about it. Has it been 8, 10 years? I'm 28. I met you when I was 21.
Yeah, we're pushing it. We're pushing that old timey feel. But I was thinking, I was like, God, you were there when I wrote Love Letters to God, when I wrote We're on Time, Two PAs, Backbone, Give It All.
Two PAs is pretty cool because I remember it was the night of the Golden Globes or some fancy Hollywood situation, and we were writing. So we fell in love with each other's souls are writing, right? That's a story few people know, but Nahko and I met virtually over email for the first time, and because basically we became pen pals. Yeah, I saw one of his shows in New York, and whatever. That story is funny, but we can save that for another time.
Wait, can I say that part of the story though?
Yeah, okay.
It's just so funny because I was playing a show in New York, opening for this artist named Xavier Rudd, and
small show.
What's that?
It was a small show.
Small show, super small show, like a little winery, and then played the show, and then the next day, a lot of my friends were like, "Yo, you were on Fallon last night," and I was like, "No, you were very mistaken. I was not on Jimmy Fallon last night," and I was like, "That's hilarious." And then they sent me the video, and there you are walking out onto Fallon, and And I was like, I didn't know who you were. You know, I was like, I don't know those girls. And your voice sounded like you'd been at a crazy party or something like this. You were like, oh.
I feel
And
like that's just kind of my voice sometimes.
that's true. You have this like deep, sultry voice, and you're like, yeah, man. Like, and he was like, how are you? And you're like, dude, I went to like this epic show last night. I think you went to 2 nights in a row. Actually, we did back-to-back nights. And you were like, it was so good. I had to go last night again. And then you
No,
took my.
I went once,
Okay.
but maybe
See,
I went.
I forget. We're getting old. I forget the story now. But you took my CD and you took Xavier Red's CD and you put it on top of his desk. And you were like, this is the group. These are the groups that I saw. And I was like, what? Whoa, that's so cool. And I think Jimmy was like, he goes, oh, it looks so spiritual.
Well, you know, so I see you open for Xavier, right? And it was I've only had this experience like maybe one other time in my entire life. But you were playing on stage, and I was like, this person and I are going to do some shit in the world. I just knew it. I knew the minute I fucking saw you that we were supposed to do something together, and I didn't know what that was going to be. But I was like, I'm not going to go up to him after a show and be like a groupie and be like, hey, you don't know me, but we're soulmates. So I was like, I got to be sneaky and just talk about him on Fallon, because then I know he'll somehow find out, and then he'll probably reach out to me.
Which I
and
did.
That's how our love story began.
Dun, da, da, da.
But we were pen pals for, man, 6 months, a long time. And we wrote the most beautiful emails. I mean, we should publish them one day, I think, because it's probably still some of the
Well,
best
I don't think
writing
what people don't really know about you is that, well, I mean, maybe they do, but that you are an amazing writer. And the way that you wrote was so familiar to me, as I also write this way. And so we're just waiting on the book, Shailene. We're waiting on your first book to come out.
The memoirs.
Yes, the memoirs.
But anyway, she's PS. It was like the night of the Golden Globes or something, and we were writing each other these like beautiful love letters. And then I remember like a week later, you put together this song, and there's parts of the song like I had written a line, and then parts where you had. It was just like, your brain is amazing to me. How you can take. This is what fascinates me about musicians. You can take some type of inspiration and turn it into sound. That is mind blowing to me. Everything in my world is 2D. You're very 3D.
I'm listening. Go on.
That was the end. That was a period.
That was a period.
I actually. When was the last time you wrote a letter?
Ooh, I wrote a letter recently to myself, actually. Did you really?
And I mailed it.
Did you mail it to yourself?
To myself.
Wow, that's so cool. It's going to go to the post office and back. Yeah, I wrote a letter to my younger self. I wrote a letter to my child self.
Ooh, that's deep.
Actually, yeah, as the adult. And I was like, hey, little bear, it's me, big bear. I am you. I'm your older self. And yeah, I just kind of just said like, hey, life's going to get crazy out there. And I'm always going to be here for you, essentially, you know. It's just part of my my own healing.
You want to cry?
It's good. I encourage
huge.
everybody to do that. Write love letters to yourselves.
It's so huge. I've been doing this thing called the Artist's Way, which I'm sure a lot of people know about. But it was given to me 5 years ago by a dear friend, and it sat on my shelf. And about 2 months ago, I was feeling really down in a creative rut and just wasn't really feeling myself creatively. And so I picked it up and I was like, it's time I dedicate myself to this. And it's a 12-week program. There's you have to do it for an hour a day. It's not really a joke. It's kind of a class.
Wow.
And through the process, it's reawakened my love of letters and writing letters to people. I've sent so many letters in the last couple days. I told you yesterday, but you're going to get one soon. Because it's such a beautiful language where, you know, I think when you write a letter to someone, in a way, you're sort of writing a letter to yourself always, because you are projecting the person that you truly are to this other person versus, you know, I think we talked about this, but when we first started sending letters to each other, I had this whole idea in my head of who you were because of what you said to me through your letters. Then I met you in person and I was like, oh, like, I didn't see this part of you in your letters, and I didn't see that part of you in your letters, but I saw your heart and your soul in your letters, because there's a different transfer of energy when we are taking time to sit with ourselves with pen and paper and truly tap into what we want to share, versus so often in real life when we're physically with one another, we're just firing back and reacting without really thinking deeply. And with letters, you're encouraged to think very deep. And so anyway, it's something I've taken up again, and I feel like everyone on here should really use this time to write some letters to people, whether they're letters to lovers or letters to your family or your friends. Yourself. Yeah.
It really makes you slow down and think, right? Like, I've struggled to slow down, because when you're typing, like, I remember when I first got a computer and I started typing up stuff instead of writing it down, it took me a couple years to sort of realize that I was losing that slowness to, as you're holding the pen or the pencil and you're beginning to write something, you know, my thoughts are so fast, and so I'm thinking, you know, that's why typing is so great. You know, you can keep up with your own thoughts, but as you write things out, it forces you to slow it down and slow your mind down in order to get that rawness out. It's methodical, and it's just it's more therapeutic, in my opinion, now, as I've sort of seen that over the years. So yeah, write a letter to yourself or write a letter to somebody during this time that you're at home, and pour your heart out. Let's hear it.
Pour it out.
Yeah, and it's fun because it's like, now that we're all at home and stuff, it's like, yes, we're calling our families more, or we're talking to our friends more, or we're doing this or online or something like this. But yeah, writing the letters it's heartwarming. It's old school.
Yeah, it's old school, it's heartwarming, and there's no better feeling than opening your mailbox and seeing a little treat in there. You know? Like, it's a true treasure nowadays, which it shouldn't be, but it is. Even emails, long letter emails, those are wonderful. I feel like when you type out, when I type something out on the computer, a different part of my writing skill comes out than when I use my hand. It's a completely different tone of writing, a different prose, different style. But yeah, I think I encourage us to, it's ironic because we're on our phones right now, but to take some time to really, like, get down and dirty with tangible things that we can hold and feel and smell and kiss.
Are you reading anything right now that's blowing your mind?
I mean, I'm reading a few things right now. Let me get them.
Because you said that program you're talking about is an actual book. Is that what you said?
Okay, so this is it. Hold on, I'm going to hold my phone close to my face because I'm a secret ass bitch and I don't like anyone to know where I am right now. I'm just nobody. Okay, here's my pile of books. I've got a lot of them. I'm reading The Artist's Way at the minute.
Oh, okay, so there's a book.
Like,
wow, that's big.
It's a workbook. It's not like a novel that you read and hang out with. I'm also reading this because I love Haruki Murakami.
Cool.
And this one's really interesting.
Whoa.
It's a series of, I love men so much. I mean, I love women so much too, but
yes.
I just find men fascinating. So it's a book of, it has all the, I think there's 7 short stories about men and the women in their lives and how they have lost them or don't have them or whatever.
Ooh.
Rereading my old fave because
it's
what I pick
that around a lot. Yeah.
Guys, this is like my Bible.
Can you read it? Can you say what it says? Because it's backwards for us.
Oh, Henry and June.
Oh.
Henry and June by Anais Nin. It is a woman who, through her sexual encounters, discovers her psychological self and her heart center. And I've never found something that is more sensual, and sensuality, as you know, is my I love that erotic shit. So this is definitely my favorite book on the planet. I'm also rereading this book, which is called Still Life with Woodpecker.
Oh, classic.
That my mother gave me. Epic book. And for the grand finale, the best book that I've read in a long ass time, it's called Period Power, because I have some janky ass periods sometimes. And I'm sick and tired of hurting so much every 30 fucking days.
Oh, I love you.
I am determined to figure out what's going on with my uterus, and this book has helped me a lot. She's an amazing author. She's really funny, so you don't feel like you're just reading scientific facts. you laugh your way through understanding the female form, and it's
Shayisms.
What are you reading right now?
We're getting these great Shayisms. Hang on, I'm gonna grab my books here. I got a couple. Let's see. I've got a whole stack over here. But here's a couple of the winners.
Winner.
The winners, we've got this one's from my mom. I've been internally borrowing this one. This is called The Language of Our Emotions.
Ooh.
What your feelings are trying to tell you.
Speaking of moms, my mom is texting me right now.
Hey, this is a Carla McLaren, so Michael Meade. It's also an amazing author, Michael Meade. The Water of Life and the World Behind the World. In a world. I don't have Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, but I have been really loving
Joe
his.
Dispenza, give me all the Joe Dispenza all day
what
long.
a legend. I got this Bell Hooks book from Lena Moon, The Will to Change, Men, Masculinity, and Love.
Ooh.
Awesome book. That's been really interesting to read. Just this first spot in here where it says, looking at the reasons patriarchy has maintained its power over men in their lives, I urge us to reclaim feminism for men, showing why feminist thinking and practice are the only way to truly address the crisis of masculinity today. It is not true that men are unwilling to change. It is true that many men are afraid to change. It is true that masses of men have not even begun to look at the ways that patriarchy keeps them from knowing themselves, from being in touch with their feelings, and from loving. To know love, men must be able to let go of their will to dominate. They must be able to choose life over death. They must be willing to change. Good shit.
I love that.
Yeah.
Also, it touched a little bit on that masculine and feminine energy, which is so important to talk about when we have the conversation about patriarchy and imbalance and inequality and
Mm-hmm.
It really is balancing those essences, right? Those energies.
Yeah, big stuff. I mean, that's a huge conversation, right? Like, I feel like I'm waiting for someone to write the book on restorative justice and to bring us into that balanced conversation of how we approach this. It's such a big part of our unraveling. Then one of my aunties just sent me this book. I haven't dug into it yet, but it's about Native folks in San Diego. Shout out to the Kumeyaay, Strangers in a Stolen Land. And so
I love
that's
that
more.
you're reading as many books all at the same time as I am.
Oh, it's crazy. Well, I'm also writing my short stories book for the Take Your Power Back album. So I'm sort of looking at people's styles.
Overachiever.
Woo! Do all of it as much as you can. Get the nice little whiteboard out. That whiteboard that you gave me is still in my living room. It's
that
huge.
Whiteboard, man. That whiteboard.
It makes you do stuff.
It makes you do stuff, you guys. Okay, so here's the thing. This whiteboard, had 4 of them. I was 2016. We were all on the Bernie Sanders train. Still am. We'll get to that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And we're traveling to all these different states and speaking at rallies and blah, blah, blah. And this was before he lost the primary.
Yep.
And we were given these giant whiteboards that we were using.
9 foot.
Yeah, huge. I mean, big, huge. Name the movie. Big, huge. It's really big mistake. Big, huge. Oh my God! Come on, guys! Nobody can name that movie.
You're just gonna roast me right now.
Big, huge.
All I can think about
Oh my
right
gosh,
now is Emperor's New Groove, because that's
Julia
literally
Roberts, Pretty Woman. Big mistake. Big,
oh
huge.
man, she just got me so good right there.
Also, I got you good yesterday because we were talking. You haven't watched Tiger King yet.
Okay, so yeah.
You didn't know what Tiger King was.
I did not know what Tiger King was. I started watching it last night, and here's the deal. It's so intense to begin watching that. I watched 30 minutes of it, and I was like,
it's no joke. I had nightmares every night.
Fucking hell. I'm just wow. Both of those characters are what?
How about the cats? That's what I care about. And the gorilla, all of them.
I mean, okay, anyway, that's a whole different conversation, but yeah. So go back to you 2016 with the Bernie thing and then the whiteboard.
Anyway, we were given these whiteboards. Knox came over and he was like, bro, can I have one of those? And I was like, yeah take it. Now you.
Yeah. And then we have the list and now we have the books and they're overachieving.
One thing that I love the most about you, and that I just like, you are my creative muse. There's anytime I feel like I need to, or I'm just like, blah, blah, I'm not creating, I talk to you for 4 minutes. We send even 3 texts to each other, and I feel
So much shit.
yeah, because we do such different things, right? You're a musician. Our lives in so many ways are very different, and in so many ways are so parallel, because we both kind of dance in that natural world that a lot of people want to call a hippie world. I prefer to just call it authentic. But whatever it is, and then we also walk in the world of makeup and fashion and blah, 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 blah. And so I think that that's what, we really are drawn to one another, because we connect on those levels. But your mind is as fast a racehorse as my mind is. And it's so rare to find that.
Well, it's so funny you say that, because I was just thinking, like, God, I remember how many times you'd come over to my house or whatever, and you'd be like, here's all my ideas from the last 48 hours. And he was like, or if I haven't seen you in months or a year or whatever, and then we see each other face to face, and then you're like, dude, but did I tell you about this thing that I want to do, and this other thing that's happening, and this, like, and I'm like, I thought I had a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, I always feel like we mirror each other in that way. I can't keep up with half the things that you're doing, and I never feel like anything's going on in my life until I talk about it out loud, and then I realize that there are like 45 simultaneous things happening all at once. But I do just love that about you. I love that if I need inspiration, you're there. And I think that your music and your songs, and if people who are like tuning in right now haven't heard them before, you are such a creative monster, and the way that you tell your stories through your songs is one of the biggest things that I admire about you, because you really are a storyteller. And I think music is your vessel, and maybe you disagree with this language, because I'm not a musician, so I wouldn't know, but your stories are so deep, and if one were to listen to any of your songs and just close their eyes, you take them on a journey. And that's, what I think is Izzy says, what up, dude?
What up, Izzy?
But I think anyway, I love you.
I love you too. I was just remembering being on the beach up in Lake Superior, and we were staring at that double rainbow.
That's a pretty cool story. Actually, you wrote a song based on something. Yeah. We were dating at that time, I think. And we were up on this beach in
Lake Superior. Yeah, Lake Superior.
Yeah, and we had some plants.
Your face.
And
oh man!
And had some pretty magical things happen. Wow, yeah.
We've had a lot of crazy things happen in our time kicking it, and I don't know. I feel like not to like move away from that whole story.
Let's move away from everything.
Yeah, cool. I just wanted to, just for like a second, because I feel like we both are so I don't know, magnetic in our energy and how we sort of view the world, and I just wanted to like let this moment be touched on around the political landscape for 1 second. We don't have to stay there very long, but we touched on it a little bit, and I think like we are in this like crux moment where with all these ideas of change, with all these like things that we're talking about as far as like what's going to happen post, and I know we didn't really want to go too deep, talk too much about that anymore, but I do think it's important to just say for a moment like that our ability to support someone like Bernie Sanders is still absolutely possible, and there's a lot of people out there that just have lost steam and have lost interest, and a lot of young people in particular, and I think like at the end of the day, I would just fucking feel so horrible if I didn't take every opportunity I had to sort of say like, dude, 2008 primaries, like Barack was down by 312 delegates and he still beat Hillary. And there's still hope in this movement. And I feel where like, obviously Bernie's intense and a lot of his ideas are intense for a lot of people. But, I'm such a proponent for immediate change as a quadruple Aquarian, where I'm just like, let's fucking go. I just want all the hard stuff. I want to see it. I want to feel it. Just give it to me. I want to make my decision on how I'm going to ride with that later because I'm crazy. But like, you know, I, I just want to hammer that home in this moment because I know you feel that too, even though like it's not always the best like space to like have this conversation because it's so intense and we feel the world so deeply. But I just wanted to hammer that one home for just a moment and just remind people who are listening that the Last Jedi still stands, man.
It's true. I mean, I've been out of the country most of the last, up until quarantine, I've been out of the country for the last 7 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And so it's been difficult. I was in England when they had their election. I was in New Zealand when they had their election. I've been kind of all over, and it's been difficult to keep up with what's happening in America because when I'm in a different place, I'm very much there and paying attention to the politics there and helping people on the ground there and whatever it is. Helping sounds wrong. Supporting people on the ground there. So when I got back to America, and it was kind of a crash course in what's happening, where's everyone's minds at. You know, 2016, the landscape was so different than it is now. And I was very heavily involved in Bernie's campaign in 2016, and I learned my way through politics because of it. I knew nothing about politics, and I was like, if I'm a white, privileged, grew up in like middle-class America chick, and I know nothing about politics, what does this say about our country? I went to public school, but so like I should know what's going on if I go to public school. Didn't know anything. So he really kind of got my juices flowing. That sounds real wrong to say in that context. He really got me real inspired to, you know, pay attention to what was happening, because I was always kind of like, fuck politics. Nobody cares about me.
Absolutely. I was right there with you.
Yep. I'm just going to do it on the ground with my homies, and that's how we're going to make a difference on the planet. But at the end of the day, you got to have someone on that other side of the wall who's going to hold your hand and help lift you over it when you want to change legislation. In the same way that if you want to change corporate America, we need people with money who are also willing to change corporate America, right? We need all of us are equally as important. We're all a piece of the pie, all pieces of the puzzle. I want pie now. And what's getting me so, you sent me an article yesterday that we should, do you know how to link something onto this thing? This amazing poet, her name's Rupi, she's incredible. I don't know if any of you
how was that? I saw you took that course.
She's in these writing workshops, you guys, I cannot. She's a genius. She's genius. I'm gonna bring out, here we go. Here's 2 of her books that I'm obsessed with, that I keep on my inspiration shelf at all moments. Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, Smoke and Honey.
One is called The Sun and Her Flowers. She's game over.
You took her writing class the other day, right?
Yeah, she just did like an Instagram live where she encouraged people to write with prompts, and it was really inspiring. It was really fun. So anyway, why did I bring her up?
Because you were talking about the article that I sent to you.
Yes.
And you said,
She, on her writing Instagram live thing, she pinned a thing. I wonder if we could pin the article on here.
Oh yeah, I think I can. While I try and figure that out, I'm
gonna keep.
You can keep talking, but if you want to move into the art part of this conversation, where I was like wanting to ask you about that film that you were actually making while you were in the other country, because you were over there for quite some time and you made this really dope movie.
Yeah, we can talk about that, but I do want to finish this whole
keep going. Yep, hit me.
I don't want to tell anyone that they have to vote for anyone, but I do want to say that if you're hurting or suffering at all right now, if your life seems undetermined, if you can't afford to go to college, if you have dreams of becoming something and don't know how you're ever going to get there because you can't even afford to pay rent in the city that you were born in because other people have moved in and raised the rent up, if you feel and are watching family members or yourself get sick and not be able to go to the hospital because there's not enough doctors and nurses and protective medical gear to protect them from you if you happen to be sick right now, if you are in a car accident and you get to the ER, but people are so busy with coronavirus, they're not going to tend to you right now. These are questions that have answers. And for me, those answers it's actually not me. The facts are the fucking facts. I'm a believer all day long, and I am a head in the clouds kind of dreamer, but I'm also a scientist, which is why I love Joe Dispenza. At the end of the day, you got to prove it to me for me to believe it. Seeing for me is believing. And Bernie, I've seen, and that's why I believe. The Republicans, the people in office right now, and again, if you're a Republican, I'm not saying you've done this, right? It's our representatives.
Sure.
Because I think democracy means we need every single polarity. But they wanted to give, what was it, $300, $400 to every person in America who is struggling at the moment. That is nothing. Yeah. Bernie fought his ass off to raise it to $1,200, which is still nothing, but at least it's $1,200. For, I think you have to, it's like 40K or 50K a year. If you make that amount, you get an automatic check for 1 month of $1,200. That's gonna help a little bit, but really,
that's still leaving millions of people in despair.
Homeless, unemployment through the roof, right? There's so many people that have no answers. And I am sick and tired of people going on Instagram and complaining about change and not putting their money where their mouth is. If you're fucking famous, say something. There is no time to lose. If you're not fucking famous, say something. There is no time to lose, because at the end of the day, Knox, you and me are going to be okay because we're very privileged in what we do. But my family's not. Your family's not. The people that I care about the most with, the people I've been in love with, aren't. And those, if we really do care about one another the way we say we care about one another, then we have to pick up that phone and we have to phone bank. We can't knock on people's doors right now, but we can annoy people with text messages, and we can annoy people with FaceTimes. And it's time to be annoying, because if we don't, millions of people could die. Like, we are talking about homelessness at a rate that we've never experienced before, and it's already at the highest rate that it's ever been in the history of our country. So, do something. If any of this resonates with you, go to BernieSanders.com. Both posts and take action, because I'm sick. All right, I think I'm almost done with my rant. The only thing that I want to say is that Bernie Sanders is in his 70s, right? And people say that's old, but like, at this rate, we're going to live well into our hundreds because of the technology that we have today. He's in his 70s, and the motherfucking dude is still showing up at work. He is the most vulnerable right now to get coronavirus, but he is still going to work because he knows that if he doesn't, certain policies, bills, will not get passed through the Senate that have to get passed right now for people to survive. So, no, I just think that says a lot. I think that he will be the guy that we are talking about hundreds of years from now, who changed America and who frankly changed the world, because a lot of America has such a huge impact on the world, whether, we want to admit it or we don't want to admit it, we do. And now we can talk about art.
Well done. That was great. I was feeling that. Thank you so much for dropping that truth.
Thanks for letting me vent. I feel like a lot of my emotional distress this morning just came out through that.
Good.
Okay, art.
Yeah. Tell me about the art.
Which art?
Well, I mean, everything is going to right now as far as like, films and whatnot. And so, I saw that your recent film that's going to be coming out is going straight to a streaming platform. So, tell me about this really beautiful film that I've sort of seen clips of.
I'm so excited, Bug.
Yeah.
I made that movie in 2018. It destroyed my life. I was in a relationship for 3 years before that, and madly in love with the person that I was with. Actually, still feel madly in love in a lot of ways. And I did this movie, and it brought up a lot, and it was a catalyst for my relationship ending with this person. It had me moving from Europe back to America. It really just turned my world upside down.
Sure.
Because the entire movie was improvised. So our director, Drake Doremus, he directed this film called Like Crazy, which was and is incredible. The sun is getting really aggressive now. And anyway, so he had an outline as to, there's my little prayers. He had an outline as to what the movie was going to be about. So instead of scenes that had lines in it, it would say, Nahko and Shailene have a FaceTime. At some point they talk about sex, and at some point they talk about deodorant. And then me and the other actors would get together and the cameras would start rolling, and we knew that we had to kind of hit these points, but we didn't know what was going to happen.
Wow.
And so it forced us, it was me, Sebastian Stan, and Jamie Dornan mostly, and a lot of other amazing actors. It forced us to be more vulnerable than I've ever been in my entire life, and more truthful, and we went deeper than I'd ever gone before. And because of that, it made me realize things about my life. Some random scam just called me. It made me realize things that weren't working in my life, and that's why certain changes had to be made after I finished that film. But it comes out April 17th on Amazon and all the things. I don't want to say the wrong thing. And DirecTV, you can on demand. But yeah, it's a pretty simple story about a girl who is trying to figure out how to love herself, which is very parallel with my life right now. I think it's, it's really easy to fall into relationships because they can serve as beautiful distractions when the sex is great and when you make each other laugh and you cook great food and the cuddles are fun and cozy and all the creature comforts that we all desire as human beings. Those are great, beautiful distractions to keep us from the hard, cold truth of really knowing who we are and loving ourselves. And I'm very much in that place in my personal life of dating myself and learning to love myself in all the ways that I want and hope to be able to love someone else. And the movie ironically kind of mirrors that, but I've never felt honestly more proud of something before.
I love hearing that.
Yeah. Tell me about you. Tell me about your art. You have some crazy
Well, someday I'd love to have a conversation with you, not today's conversation, but just about that storyteller aspect of our work, because you are a storyteller through your work, and I think that's also something that we both sort of appreciate in each other, is the vein of which we've chosen to tell stories. And so I'm always fascinated to observe you in that process and to observe you in your craft. It's a fascinating experience. You're really good at it. Thank you for doing that.
Thanks. I think acting is the easiest thing in the entire world because all it is just professionally listening. That's it. We can make it seem a lot harder than it fucking is, and we can be like, woe is me, I'm an actor. But all we do is professionally listen and react. And if you have the ability to listen, you are as brilliant an actor as Meryl Streep. I truly believe that. And
isn't it interesting, though, that these stories, though, that you're telling so deeply reflect, what you're actually going through right now?
Art always mirrors life, or life always mirrors art. I don't know.
I don't know.
Or the egg, which one came first? Because I do think that, I think that, again, as an actor, because that's the only space I can really speak of, I don't become a different character. I just become a different color of myself. So I am a raging alcoholic. I am a cunty, crazy, sorry, I'm swearing a lot. I just happen to swear a lot all the time. I am like a really gentle mother. I am, all of these things exist within me in my DNA. My ancestors have been all of these things.
Hell yeah.
So
fucking aspects of yourself. Absolutely. I feel that.
Okay.
I know that exactly as well.
So it's just about refining and allowing and trusting that in a given situation, if you're really, really listening, that shade of you that needs to come out for that moment will come out. Instead of trying to make something come out. Because you can always tell when someone's fake crying on movies. I can't stand it.
Well, see, I can apply that directly. I can apply that directly to songwriting. It's like,
really?
if you can tell when someone's just writing some bullshit to make a song. You know what I mean? And when you're really tapped into listening to what this mystery of the channel is trying to tell you, that's when the most authentic thing comes out.
Right. Authenticity. I think that is the only word I want on my epitaph. Authenticity. I wanna.
Yeah, she was authentic. Sure, she was.
That's my goal. You know, I think authentic is really I really love authenticity a lot. I respect it a lot because it's really hard.
What comes in through your work, it comes in through your lifestyle, it comes out through how you shine your light in the world.
Thanks, bud. You too.
Yeah.
I miss you. Talking to you is making me all nostalgic. I miss you a lot.
Miss you too. Here we are, missing each other, missing our friends, missing our families, and connecting as best we can in these interesting times.
Yeah.
Guess what? So, like, what? Go ahead.
Oh no, you can tell me and then I'll tell you.
I was just going to say that when we touched base yesterday about how long this conversation was going to be, we were like, I was like, oh yeah, like 30 minutes, like whatever. We're approaching our hour mark here.
Yeah, well, I now want to ask you a question. I want to know about your storytelling and your writing, and specifically these singles that you're, coming out with right now, because I think it's people who have known your music from way back Hawaii days to like your music now. Your sound has changed so much, and yet it is still you. Like, talk about authenticity. The way that you're storytelling, the way that you're producing your music is so different. So what has that process been like? And specifically, again, this album that you're releasing, is it an actual album? How does this work when you're releasing? Is it in singles or albums? What's the difference?
No, we a lot about the sort of past works of mine, and I've never really put singles out before. I've always sort of just put a whole story out and let it live like that. So this has been a really great experience to put singles out. We planned to put out, I think it was 5 or 6 singles out before the album drops. So this month it's April. Is it April? No, it's April tomorrow.
April
tomorrow, and tomorrow's month we'll have a single coming out, and then that's the last one, and it comes out on Earth Day, and then the album comes out in May. So observing sort of how this sort of way works, and you give people a song and then you let them digest it, and so, but yeah, the whole story has been very powerful. I mean, as you know, with our lives intertwined in our art, the way that things have played out the last 3 years of my life have allowed this story to come in real strong. I mean, I had probably 20 different titles going on that whiteboard for a couple years, and the one that kept raising its hand was Take Your Power Back. And you can apply that to so much in life. And the entire song listing of putting these songs together, maintaining a sound. It's such a trip, it's like maintaining a sound that people are accustomed to, or like, an organic or raw acoustic way that, that I also enjoy too. But how do you get the symphony out of your head and have it translate the way that you hear it? That just takes practice, and you do it over and over again. And because I haven't put out a lot of music just singularly, where it's like, oh, I wrote a song, here's a song I wrote, put it out like that.
There's a little song that I wrote.
Yeah, exactly.
Note for notes.
Don't worry. Ooh, 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 ooh. So it's been really cool. I mean, I've wanted to make. I've never liked being in a box. Sort of non-genre conforming vibes. I love all styles of music, and being able to make an acoustic song like Give It All, and record that the way I recorded that, and then make a pop song like Part Problem, or a ballad like Twisted, and like or an acoustic waltz like Slow Down. It's like being able to have Afro beats in like the song Garden, or like, I just love music, right? And
you do love music.
Being able to, of course, put it together into like a format, into a book, where you listen to it, has to sort of come across, as you listen from top to bottom, it has to sort of make sense, right? And that's my favorite part of the whole process, to be honest, is putting the list together of going like, here, you're gonna listen, you're gonna start here, and then here's each chapter. Here's an interlude, you know, that's gonna add to this next chapter, and keep going, keep going, keep going, down it, and then here we'll end it like this. And really taking you on a journey from, you know, starting here and coming all the way back around to really allow sort of this transformation to take place as it has taken place in my life. So yeah, it's been an incredible ride, and I'm quite happy with the results of that process. And having worked with some amazing people, I mean, my band has grown and transformed as you've witnessed them over the years. Getting to work with amazing people like Cut and Dry, my producers, and having found them, and everything is sort of happened in this most magical, mysterious way, you know.
Nothing's weird anymore. Nothing's mysterious.
You can't write the shit. You can't write the shit. You can't plan it. You can't write it. You can't write it.
I'm putting the phone close to my face again because I'm walking.
Great.
Yeah, you can't write it.
Yeah, and you can't write just the people that come along to help you with these stories and help you put these things together that help you fine tune it and can see that vision the way that you see it and help that vision come to life.
Right.
So I feel very blessed and very grateful for that.
Just plugging my phone in because it might die.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this new, I keep saying album, I cannot wait for people to hear every single element of it. All the songs, I feel very fortunate enough to have listened to quite a few of them. And
yeah, you were here giving your input as we were working them out.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing. I love that. I love watching the process from the raw song on your guitar in a living room or on the piano to the full produced version of it.
Yeah, we'll be working on our combined album soon. Well, we'll kind of wrap it there because Instagram's gonna kick us off here. Like the limit it to an hour. Yeah, let's close it out.
Before we go, I want you to sing.
Yeah. I'll be the earth that grounds you from the chaos all around. I'll be the home you return to.
My dog is making a debut.
I can be your middle ground, and I will serve as a reminder. If you jump, you will not fall.
It's very hard to sing with someone over the phone.
I know. You're doing great, though. Go on and spread those wings of reason. We are water after all. And if you call on me, I'll come running like a coyote. 'Cause we're pillars indeed. A lighthouse when you're out to sea. A beacon when direction's all I need. A compass if you know what I mean. Drunk on the nectar of all that you are to me. Ew.
Wait, can you sing Twisted really quick?
I can't because they're gonna kick us off. It's gonna shut down. It literally gonna shut down.
I love concerts. I love Instagram.
I'll call you later. We'll have another concert some other time.
Okay, before it kicks us off, I just want to say I'm grateful for this time and this talk, and I feel like I was kind of all over the place because it's an emotional day, but sometimes that's truthful, and sometimes it's just where you're at, and I appreciate you holding space. And also, I really hope that we can all just continue to spread love on this planet, and that we all dig deep and take this time to take the time to understand ourselves a little bit more and to know ourselves a little bit more, because that will help perpetuate genuinity. That's not a word. And authenticity and kindness and compassion and empathy, because that's desperately what the world needs right now, is really just a kindness, compassion, and empathy.
A hold of that. And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today in front of all these people. And I love you so much. Thank you all for tuning in.